Welcome. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at this ABLEWE 4-in-1 USB 3.0 hub with Ethernet port. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link to it in the description on Amazon, and if you use that link, it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. So on the back, it gives examples of where you can use this. You can plug in a keyboard, mouse, USB drive, and you can hook it into your computer, connect your printer, connect it to the internet. So let's get this open. So we have a thank you card. Here's a user guide. So this has a USB 3.0 male port and 3 female ports. Has a Gigabit Ethernet port. So you plug this into the USB on your computer and then you can connect things to it. So this is compatible with Mac, PC, Linux, Chrome, and it's compatible with older versions too. You'll want to look at the product description to see the exact details, but this will work with, say, Windows XP through Windows 10. I don't know if it'll work with 11, but it'll work with the different versions of Mac OS 10 and different versions of Linux too. So then we have some different notes on the back. The transfer speed is up to 5 gigabits, which is USB 3.0. USB maximum output is 900 milliamps. And it says it's not recommended for charging iPads, tablets, smartphones via USB 3.0 ports. Make sure your power doesn't go over 900 milliamps. Use proper network cable. It has system requirements. So let's pull this out. So the outer package here feels like metal, and I think we have plastic on the inside. We have the 3 ports here, Ethernet on the end. It's a little bit of packing material here. I'll pull that off. So now I'm going to test this out on one of my computers. I'll be using a 2012 MacBook Pro. It's an older machine. It's 10 years old as of time of filming this video, but it does support USB 3.0, so it should work great with this hub. So I'm going to turn my camera light off here. I have a lot of glare. So this is currently hooked into Ethernet. So I have some speed test software. I'll run that real quick. So you can see here I'm getting 925 megabits per second download and I'm getting around 950 upload. So the server I'm connecting to is on my LAN, so this is not going out onto the internet. So that should be a good representation of our network capabilities. Although this is not perfect because if the server has some activity on it, that could slow it down a little bit. So first thing I'll do is I'll take the hub and I'll plug it into the USB 3.0 port over here. So this has 2 ports on it. So we just added 3 more ports, but we took 1. So this takes our 2 ports and turns it into 4 ports. So I'll unplug from the Ethernet here. I'll plug it into the adapter. So that'll just take a few seconds to connect up. Now it may seem odd on a computer like this that has an Ethernet port to plug into an external adapter like this, but there are some situations where you might want to do that. If the internal port went bad, if it was broken or quit working, then you could use this to regain Ethernet capabilities on your computer. Another would be to use this sort of like a dock. So you could plug your Ethernet cord in here and you could plug other accessories. So maybe you have keyboard, mouse, printer. And then when you're done working at the end of the day, you could just unplug this in one spot as opposed to unplugging multiple devices. And then when you come to work the next morning, you could plug in the one cable to hook everything back up. So I think that's enough time to get this going. So I'll restart this test. I'll run it. So now we're running off this adapter. And our download speeds, let's wait till it's finished. We got 885, so it's just a little bit slower than we plugged into the native Ethernet port. So that's pretty impressive. And our upload is 954. So that download could be attributed to some activity on the server that's slowing it down. But we're getting pretty much the same results as we did with the internal Ethernet port. Now this supports Gigabit Ethernet, but when you run a speed test, you typically will not see exactly 1 gigabit. That's not how it works. And 1 gigabit would be 1000 megabits per second. So if you're looking to add Ethernet to your machine, right off the bat, I think this is a good option. Of course, this is more than just an Ethernet adapter. We can plug USB accessories in. Here I have a USB enclosure. It supports USB 3.0. It has an NVMe SSD in it. That's a very fast hard drive. So we'll plug that in. That will show up on our desktop. So I'll open up a speed test here. So here we got just under 400 megabytes per second write speed and a little bit above 400 megabytes per second read speed. So if I were to plug this drive directly into the computer, I would get similar results with that. So it's not slowing it down. So stop that. Now I'll plug in a Samsung Bar USB 3.0 drive. This is actually, I think, 3.1, but it's backwards compatible. Okay, so we got 61 megabytes per second write, and we got 375 megabytes per second read speed. So we're getting slower writes because that's all that is supported by this flash drive. But you can see the read speeds are very fast on this. Let's close that down. So another thing we might plug into something like this would be a webcam. So here we have the webcam plugged in. Now this does have a webcam built into the computer, but there are times when you want a separate one to, say, point at a group of people or something. So this works great here. So I talked about using this as a sort of dock. It's important to remember that when you mount hard drives or flash drives, you want to eject those before you unplug it. So I'll do that here. So now I could eject the individual drives, or I could just unplug this whole thing and I'm good to go. So that's the ABLEWE 4-in-1 USB 3.0 hub with Ethernet. I really like that this hub has Ethernet built in, so you don't have to have a separate dongle which would take up one of your USB ports. And I like that that doesn't compromise on speed. It gives me similar speeds to the built-in Ethernet port on my computer. Lots of newer computers are not coming with Ethernet ports, but I still like to use a wired connection when possible. It's faster, or it at least lessens the congestion on my Wi-Fi network, because I do have a lot of devices that use Wi-Fi. So anytime I have an opportunity to plug something in, I like to be able to do that. So this is a great way to add ports, so you can plug in keyboards, mice, printers, webcams, devices like that. There are certain devices like microphones, USB microphones, that it may not be recommended that you plug them in through a hub. So those devices you would probably want to plug directly into the computer, or maybe like a capture device, and then plug your other accessories into this, because this will easily support things like keyboards, mice, printers. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you liked this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.